The palace gates were silent, but beneath their ancient stones, a storm of secrets raged with unprecedented. In the cold corridors of Buckingham, whispers turned into tremors as a leaked fragment of King Charles III's will surfaced in the dark underbelly of the British press. It was not just a piece of paper, it was an explosive blueprint, allegedly rewritten in midnight ink, one that shifted the very foundations of the monarchy. At the heart of this conspiracy stood Camilla, the queen consort, painted in the leak as a shadowy architect who had twisted tradition, silenced rivals, and carved a path to power that would forever stain the House of Windsor. The document, obtained by an anonymous insider and delivered to a select group of high-stakes journalists, contained shocking revisions, titles reassigned, inheritances stripped, and a controversial clause that would grant Camilla unprecedented influence over the line of six. Gone were the quiet assurances once whispered about Prince William's unchallenged. In their place, a web of legal wording placed Camilla in a position that was not only advisory but dangerously close to Regency-level control should Charles's health falter, a scenario many claimed had already begun. The leak sent shockwaves across the realm. Royal analysts scrambled, parliamentarians demanded explanations, and the people, who once tolerated Camilla as a reluctant compromise in a decades-long royal saga, now questioned whether they had been pawns in a game far darker than any tabloid had ever. How long had she known? How long had Charles known? And more terrifyingly, how much of the monarchy's ancient machinery had already been rewired? Witnesses from within the palace began to surface, each testimony dripping with hints of fear and veiled threat. A senior aide, speaking under the protection of anonymity, described a war council held in the Queen's private drawing room late into the night, weeks before the will was allegedly present. Were a select few, Camilla's most trusted advisors, two legal minds with histories of discreet royal service, and, most explosively, an intermediary believed to be connected to outside political interests who stood to benefit from a destabilized. Prince William, upon hearing of the leak, was said to be incandescent with fury. His private circle in Kensington Palace erupted into emergency meeting. One insider described the prince's mood as not of sorrow, but of war. His relationship with his father had already been strained by years of silent resentment, but this revelation threatened to turn that tension into open fracture. William's protectors warned him, to challenge the will publicly would mean questioning the very legitimacy of. But to stay silent? That would risk the future of the throne slipping through. And where was Harry in this storm? The Sussex exile, once the most dangerous voice outside the palace walls, remained eerily silent. Yet sources from Montecito claimed he had been approached, perhaps even courted, by figures desperate to turn this scandal into leverage. If the will named him, if Camilla had indeed shifted assets or influence in his favor as a counterweight to William, it would explain his recent mysterious absences and sudden reluctance to. Camilla, meanwhile, put on the performance of a lifetime. Publicly, she smiled. She hosted charity. She stepped out in emerald green at a Windsor gala, shaking hands with diplomats as though nothing had changed. But behind closed doors, whispers described a woman cornered, sharpening her claws. Her allies began a counteroffensive, planting stories of misinterpretation, insisting the will was only a draft, portraying her as a devoted wife shielding her ailing husband from unnecessary stress. But the more they explained, the less the public believed. Then came the This time it was not a document, but a video, grainy, taken from what appeared to be a palace security feed, showing a late-night arrival of two black cars at Buckingham's. From the shadows emerged a figure unmistakable in posture and silhouette, Camilla herself, escorted by a pair of discreet legal The footage, time-stamped only days before the king's most recent health scare, reignited the fires. Social media exploded. Protesters appeared outside royal residences demanding transparency. The monarchy's centuries-old facade of untouchable sanctity began to crack under the weight of modern outrage. Inside, the royal family splintered. Charles, frail yet defiant, reportedly lashed out at his sons during a tense private call. "You will not tear this family apart," he was heard shouting, before abruptly ending the. William began consolidating his allies, senior courtiers, a faction of parliamentarians, even whispers of quiet support from Catherine, who had recently re-emerged after her own health battles, now standing firmer than ever beside her husband. Harry, ever the wild card, sent a cryptic message to an American broadcaster: "The truth has many. Not all of them are pretty." The question loomed, was the monarchy witnessing its slow implosion from within? Or was this the birth of an entirely new order, sculpted by Camilla's unrelenting. As days turned to nights and the leak consumed the global press, one undeniable fact emerged: this was no longer about money or titles alone. This was a battle for the narrative of British royalty itself. Should Camilla's alleged plan succeed, she would go down in history as the most powerful queen consort since the Age of Empire, reviled by some, feared by others, but undeniably victorious. Should it fail, she risked becoming the most notorious usurper in modern royal history. Parliament debated intervention. The Archbishop of Canterbury reportedly expressed grave spiritual. International allies began to question the stability of the British throne, a symbolic keystone in the West's cultural. And the people? They waited, hungry for truth but drowning in rumor. Then, in a move that stunned even her fiercest critics, Camilla called alive. Dressed in deep navy, her voice unwavering, she denied the allegations outright. The will of the king is sacred. I would never dream of altering it for my gain, she said, her eyes steely. Yet experts dissected every twitch, every pause, every carefully scripted. And as the cameras flicked off, the roar outside the palace gates did not. It grew. For now, the monarchy stands, shaken, trembling, yet intact. But the leak has done its. A seed of doubt has been planted, and it grows in the cracks between duty and ambition, between love and leg. The throne may remain in place, but its shadow has never.